Hello, hello, hello. We are doing, brace yourselves, Penguin Cafe Orchestra. It's about time, isn't it? And their debut. Music from the Penguin Cafe. For those of you who are short-sighted, I'll bring the big version up. There you go. You can see that's much better, isn't it? You can see that a bit better. Ah, the Penguin Cafe. I first became aware of the Penguin Cafe Orchestra via the ballet Still Life at the Penguin Cafe. It was broadcast on ITV. It was filmed by Thames and broadcast on ITV it must have been around August, September 1988. Or would it have been 89? I'm trying to think. No, it would have been 89. I think it was taped in 88 but broadcast in 89. Maybe it wasn't. Anyway, time. I'm getting obsessed with the details and with probably memories, especially memories that are that old. Sometimes you're wrong and you're right. Anyway, it was broadcast on the TV as part of an arts strand. I think it was like Summer in the City Arts or something on ITV. And me and my old nan, we'd give anything a try on the TV, and we watched the South Bank show and things like that. I've probably watched the South Bank show special on the Penguins, but maybe I didn't make the connection. But I would have watched all that stuff. But the Still Life at the Penguin Cafe was the first thing that made me go, "Oh, this is good." Again, they brought ballet to the masses. But I'm getting ahead of it. I'm in the right place. I am. Formulate your thoughts. So that was my this is interesting. And then a few years later, there, you see that there. I won't get it off the shelf. But EG Records released a couple of box sets for Eno, Roxy, that band there in the K section, who I don't talk about. And there was a compilation on there, a very good compilation of EG artists, and who's on there, but of course the Penguin Cafe Orchestra. And that kind of fed back to my memory. It must have been 89 because it all seemed to happen at once. It must have been 89 that it was broadcast. It all happened at once, but it was taped in 88 but broadcast in 89. Because it all just seemed to, yeah. And then I started to buy their albums because I was like, oh, these are good. I like these. And so we come to their very first album called Music from the Penguin Cafe. Yes indeed. Originally released in 1976 on Eno's Obscure albums. It didn't have that cover, it had a black cover, I don't know if you've seen those Obscure album covers. They had kind of, they're all pretty indistinct. I didn't like them. I much prefer this. The artwork is done by Emily Young, who Simon Jeffs, the proprietor of the Penguin Cafe, was with. Emily Young is, of course, the Emily name-checked in See Emily Play by Pink Floyd, the Pink Floyd. And she's a famous star. She's a sculptor now. But yeah, she did the artwork. She gave the band its image. And the idea of the Penguin Cafe came to Jeffs previously after eating some bad fish, like you do, in the south of France, lying in a field, and he had nightmares. He had some nightmares about the Penguin Cafe. And the idea is it's a place where music is important and people go there, and randomness and spontaneity exist. And so we have this album. But the Penguin Cafe, on this record, exists in two forms, and this record is complicated because there's Zopf, and then there's the Penguin Cafe players who appear. Opens with the Penguin Cafe single, a delightfully lollopy 6 minutes 16 seconds, and you can hear in it all the playfulness that you come to associate with the band. But then we go to the Zopf section, and this again on the album. It's been on the CD reissues. I don't know in the modern ones, but the ones that put out by EG, a couple of the tracks were mistitled, tracks 2 to 8. So it's from the Colonies down to Pigtail, were performed by the Zopf band. I don't know what that is, but that's it. But these are small, more avant-garde pieces, and one of them, Milk, has a vocal line in it. Same with In a Sydney Motel, there is a spoken vocal, and everything's, like I say, it's a little bit skewed, it's a little bit avant-garde. But what we get in this section is a very important track called Giles Farnaby's Dream. Indeed, where Simon Jeffs took a tune from Giles Farnaby, who was a real person. He was a composer, and he was a virginalist, which was a precursor to the harpsichord apparently. And his musical period spanned the Renaissance to the Baroque period. And Jeffs found this piece, and you can hear it. You can hear the regular version of it. But Jeffs, what he brought to it was his interest in South American music, and so it sounds a bit like La Bamba, you know. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. Now again, Jeffs used instruments like ukulele and a quattro to get a more, I don't know, South American folky feel to things, because it was Jeff's intention to create a folk music, a new English folk music, and he was going to do this by using influences from South America, from Africa, from Asia, from all over the world, and incorporate it with our kind of folk music and create something entirely new. And this is where we get the first tantalising glimpses of it with Giles Farnaby's Dream. It's a great track, and it's the standout track of the record, and it's the track that they often play. Well, the revised Penguin Cafe, which is held by Jeff's son, still play to this day. On the B-side, there's a beautiful track called The Sound of Someone That You Love Who's Going Away and It Doesn't Matter, which starts with a nice guitar piece and expands into a keyboard piece and then resolves itself. But it's a nice little meandering journey that takes you off far away. And again, the album has 2 following tracks called Huge Baby and Chart of Flight, which have a similar feel to it. It's very dreamlike, and again, it has a very otherworldly feel to the record. It's a very, again, it's for an introductory album. It's kind of indicates what's coming, but it's again is separate. I don't really see this as the first Penguin Cafe Orchestra record. I know that sounds weird because it is, but you know, I see it being like a step away from it. It's like it's an early form, because Jeffs is still doing this Zopf music, which I think Zopf with like a band before the Penguin Cafe, you know, orchestra. It was like a different kind of band. And then, it's kind of this is almost like a transitionary period. I wouldn't necessarily say start with this album, because it might put you off. It might put you off because, again, it is experimental, it is avant-garde, and it doesn't have all the hooky stuff that he pioneers on the subsequent records. It is a little bit, like I say, a little bit weird, and a little bit unfocused. But it's for advanced listeners. I can imagine that many might be like turned off by it and say, "Oh, this is a bit of there's a lot of fluff on this," But the fact that it exists is the interesting thing. And again, I listened to it today, and again, it's not one I listen to often, but it was nice to hear it again. It's like meeting an old friend. And again, we have an early version of the Penguin Cafe Orchestra in Simon Jeffs is playing electric guitar, bass, ukulele, blah 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 blah. Steve Nye on electric piano. Ellen Liebman, who is another consistent player throughout the career of the Penguin Cafe Orchestra, and Gavin Wright. Now, Gavin Wright's been on loads of things as a session player and spanned many different forms, even in modern music he's around. And Neil Rennie, who appears on later albums, he plays ukulele too. Emily Young also appears with vocals on Milk and Coronation. And she also did, of course, the album sleeve. So yeah, it's a bit of a... Again, it's not as bad, it's just it's different. It's not quite... Not all of it is quite Penguin Cafe Orchestra. For some of it is Zopf. So really, it's 2 albums in one. It's 2 bands in one, if you know what I mean. Probably don't if you've not heard it. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But I don't know if I bought this one first. I think I might have got the album that's coming next first in the chronology. Again, I'm trying to think back, because I doubt if we didn't have the internet back in the late 80s, so I probably would have bought what was on the shelves, and I got a feeling it was the one that had the name on it, which is coming next. But anyway, Penguin Cafe Orchestra begins with the letter P. And hopefully you're going to enjoy these reviews. If you're not, there's not a lot I can do about it. But these are the bands that I like a lot. You know, this is the, and again, the Penguins have been very, very inspirational in my own music creation. I did a track called Penguin Waltz, which is my tribute to them. Maybe I'll link it in the box if I remember. But you can hear the kind of effect that they had on me. But yeah, and it all comes from Still Life at the Penguin Cafe, which we'll be talking about later, because that was released as an album and a VHS, remember that, and I think now is available on a Blu-ray. But I'll be talking about that latterly. That's the pipe work. That's the the missus running the tap in the bathroom. I think we may have an airlock somewhere. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been enjoyable. I've been talking about music from the Penguin Cafe from back in the day, from 1976. Wow. Originally released on the Obscure label with Eno as an executive producer, and those who like the big one, there's the EG Records edition. Anyway, thank you for watching. There's not much else left to say other than yeah, do whatever you need to do, and we'll do this all again soon. Thanks for watching. Ta-da.